welcome to one of Tashi's talks, where issues of life and faith are discussed for your edification and application. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your guest host, Yannique. Tashi, thank you for having me on for today's talk on stress. I think everyone who has been alive long enough can relate to having stress, being stressed, or causing stress. So tell us.
That's true, Yannique. That's
what is stress?
All right, let's get right into it. Stress.
Yes.
So in defining stress, I am going to talk about what psychology today has said. And according to them, stress generally refers to two things. One, the psychological perception of pressure on the one hand and the body's response to it on the other, which involves multiple systems from metabolism to muscles to memory. So in other words, we're talking about a kind of strain. It's a psychological perception and how the body responds to that they are talking about when you talk about stress.
Okay, sounds good. Are there different types of stress though?
There are several different types of stress, and I'm going to be linking, when I talk about types of stress, I'm going to be linking it with some of the causes of stress.
Okay.
So you'll find that you have family stress, and that can range from anything from marital conflict, sibling conflict, parent-child conflict, or anything that is responsible for that kind of stress, which is family related, and it is a real or imagined imbalance between the demands, what we call stressors, on the family and the family's ability to meet those demands.
Okay.
So whatever within the context of the family that is causing stress, we call that family stress. And of course, you can have workplace stress.
Yes.
And relationship stress, money stress, personal stress.
Yes, definitely.
And for teenagers or even children, they can have exam stress and mother stress, father stress, anything you can think of. Yeah, those are types of stress, some types of stress.
Okay, I didn't know they had so many types of stress. All right, so talk to us about some of the causes of stress. I mean, apart from what you've already mentioned, what would you say is like the main cause of stress?
Well, actually in Jamaica, we tend not to have the kind of record that we need, because we don't do a lot of that, or we do not have a history of documenting things.
Yes.
So in America, based on the readings that I have done, they say that the main cause of stress is money. That they say that is the number one cause of stress. Okay. And of course, we know that when it comes to marital conflict, money is usually somewhere in the top 5 issues that cause marital conflict or the breakdown of a relationship based on how they are handling it.
Yes.
But within the Jamaican context, I find that I don't think I have a response to the main cause of stress.
Yes.
But I know that there are several types. So for example, I'm going to give you a few.
Yes.
Busyness or overcommitment. Those are causes of stress. Exhaustion, that is not getting enough sleep over a significant period of time.
Yes.
Also, unhealthy eating is a cause of stress as well, because good nutrition helps you to feel good and to have more energy. So when we're not eating very well, eventually that can become a stressor in our lives.
Okay.
Of course, lack of exercise, because regular exercise is a proven stress reducer, and it will physically benefit your body, relieve tension, counteract bad stress, help you to relax, and even help you to sleep better. Okay. So I am encouraging anyone who is not exercising regularly to go for a walk. If you have a bicycle, ride it. Just start moving, because we have gotten so accustomed to this sedentary lifestyle, which means that we're sitting all the time. We drive in a vehicle from place to place, and then we go to work and we sit behind our desks. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article earlier this week that spoke about the health risks of sitting at your desk and having lunch, and they're encouraging you to move away from your desk and go and have lunch. It's not healthy to sit at your desk with the white screen in front of your face as a computer, and you're eating there and you do everything right there at your desk. So the lack of exercise can cause stress. Perfectionism, excuse me, is also a cause of stress, because when a person expects perfection, it creates stress for everyone. It destroys that person, and it destroys the relationships that they care about. So it can be a stress factor as well. Disorganization can cause stress, and pretty much any stress event or stressful situation can cause stress, because for example, loss of a loved one, you know, just going through the phases of grief and mourning and so on, or maybe an accident, somebody has an amputated leg, or some kind of sudden financial issue, you know, something happens and you don't know where the money is coming from. Anything can cause stress. So those are causes of stress. And just to quickly say that licensed psychotherapist Dr. Gary Brown, he also adds to this list of causes of stress, and let me just list quickly what he has said. He says relationship conflicts at home can cause stress, new or increasing work responsibilities, increasing demands, financial strain, loss of a loved one, as I mentioned, health problems, moving to a new location, exposure to one or more traumatic incidents, such as a car accident or violent crime. All of those can cause stress.
Wow, I really didn't know that there were so many causes of stress. And I particularly like the one that you mentioned about exhaustion. I really didn't know, but those are some enlightening topics for me. All right, so how does destructive stress affect us?
All right, thank you for that question. Destructive stress. I want to quickly point out that you have healthy stress and you have destructive stress. Yes, because a lot of persons think that, you know, no stress is good, but you actually have stress that's good for us. So you have what we call normal stress. There's what we call normal stress. So stress is normal, and it can be healthy or destructive. So in other words, stress is a part of life, and it is something that we must expect. Good stress motivates us to work hard, rise to a special challenge, or to save our lives in an emergency. So for example, a parent might be at the beach and they see that their child is in danger. That's stress. But that stress pushes you to go and save the life of your child, you know, whatever that is. So you have good stress. You have good stress that exists, but then bad stress now can be overwhelming. And if we have a consistent dose of bad stress, it can leave us with feelings of fatigue. It can weaken our immune systems, and it can cause other illnesses such as depression, which is very common now amongst people in general, Jamaicans in particular. You know, so that is important. But the question is, how does this deal with this destructive stress? If we're going to deal with destructive stress, then we have to look at healthy ways in which we manage stress. So stress is normal. It can be good, it can be bad, but then how it affects us will depend on how we choose to handle it. So handling it in a healthy way. So I'm just going to name a few things. One, these are healthy ways to handle stress. To express our feelings. Sometimes we're just not used to talking about the way we really feel. We think that it should be bottled up, especially men. Men don't usually just open up and talk about how they're feeling about a particular thing, because that's kind of feminine.
Or it will go away, they just
right. So they just bottle it up. This will disappear in time, but that's actually not healthy. So it's important to express your feelings. It is important to have someone in your life that you can just talk to about whatever it is, how you're feeling and so on, without any reservation or feeling as if you're going to be judged or anything like that. Slow down the pace of life. Sometimes we are just going and going and going and going, and we're in a routine, work, school, church, family, whatever it is, and we're just going and going and going and going like a bunny, but slow down. It is important to slow down the pace of life sometimes. Get plenty of sleep.
That's important.
Rest and relax. Try to keep at least one day a week free from obligations. Make it a day of rest to recharge your batteries. This is so important. And the Bible talks about a Sabbath rest. Now, that is not to talk about, Saturday is a Sabbath and you must be doing that. And because, I believe that our entire lives, every day must be lived holy unto God and so on. But there must be a time that we set aside, at least one day a week, whatever is practical for you, to just make it free from obligations and to recharge your battery.
De-stress?
Rest and relax, de-stress, anything you want to call it, as long as it has the same effect.
Okay.
And then get regular exercise. Get regular exercise. Physical activity is a great way to release pent-up energy, stress, and tension. And for adults, try to engage in at least 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week. Okay. That's really important for us. And then keep a sense of humor. Laughing helps your body to combat stress. And Proverbs tells us that a cheerful heart is good medicine.
Yes, definitely.
So, keep a sense of humor. Learn how to set boundaries and say no. Sometimes persons think that boundaries are a bad thing, but they're very good because they protect us. They protect us from dealing with stress in an unhealthy way and so on. So whether at work or at home, we must know our limits, and when we're close to reaching those limits, we must refuse to accept additional responsibilities. The bottom line is that we must take good care of ourselves.
Yes, definitely. And we have to reach a point where we say, enough is enough. I need to just relax myself and just enjoy the moment and just de-stress. Sleep, whatever it is that you do. Right? So thank you so much for that. I just want to touch on the different levels of stress. Tell me more about that.
All right, different levels. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about levels as if there's a level 1, level 2, level 3, or a low level, high level kind of thing. But there are different levels of stress to the extent of talking about the quality or magnitude or weight of the stress. So in other words, while you have normal stress and you have bad stress, you have chronic stress as well. Stress can become so overwhelming that it becomes chronic, and it can lead to several kinds of complications in the body. Not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well, because stress creates exhausted people who are empty on the inside. So over time, they become drained. So if we don't deal with stress in a healthy way when we are stressed, and it just continues like over time, just being bombarded with whatever stress, and if stress is being added on to stress, it's going to drain us. And so there are several health risks associated with stress, such as heart disease, asthma, obesity, because some people eat when they're stressed. Then diabetes, headaches, depression and anxiety, gastrointestinal problems, Alzheimer's disease, accelerated aging. Some people look older than they really are because they're so stressed out for so long. So they're getting older quickly, or more quicker than others, or quicker than others. And then of course there's premature death. Unfortunately, there are some persons who send themselves to an early grave because of just too much stress.
Okay.
So, as I talk about chronic stress, I want to talk about some of the common physical, psychological, and emotional signs of chronic stress. And how can we, maybe identify that somebody may have chronic stress, or you may have chronic stress.
Yes.
Rapid heart rate, elevated blood pressure, feeling overwhelmed, fatigue, difficulty sleeping, poor problem solving, fear that the stressor won't go away, persistent thoughts about one or more stressors, changes in behavior, including social withdrawal, feelings of sadness, frustration, loss of emotional control, inability to rest, and self-medication. Those are all signs that there's possibly chronic stress in the life of a person.
Oh wow, this is a lot of information. All right, so if somebody is getting angry, it could be that angry continuously, it could be that they're stressed then.
That is correct. So if they're having outbursts,
frequent outbursts.
You're right. It could be that they're stressed.
Okay. All right. But how can you tell if someone may be stressed? I mean, persons might withdraw, yes, and they might stop eating, but they probably relating it to something else. How do you identify when somebody's actually stressed? So there are signs that exist that you can tell if someone is stressed. But the important thing is that if the person is related to us or a close friend of ours or so on, the important thing is to know the person and to know when their behavior has changed, and to get them to open up and to talk to them about, because even though these signs that I'm about to mention are signs that someone may be stressed, I want to emphasize may be stressed, because it doesn't necessarily mean that is the thing that's going on with them. It could be other things, but these are some signs that they may be stressed. So if you are seeing these signs, it's good to investigate to find out whether or not these are really signs that you are stressed. So for example, withdrawing from relationships, they just want to be left alone, can't bother talk with anybody. They used to be that social butterfly, and now they are withdrawing. It could be as a result of stress. Displaying negative body language could also be a sign of stress. Living in attack mode. So everything the person is just attacking. Least little thing they're just attacking. Living in attack mode. They're easily angered, that kind of thing. It could be stress. Avoiding touch. Can't hug them, can't touch them in any way at all because they're stressed. Showing a lack of sensitivity, harboring unforgiveness. And that is so important, to deal with unforgiveness, because it's not healthy for us. And feeling hopeless is also a sign that someone is really stressed. All right. In Jamaica, we know that a lot of persons cry out all the time that they're stressed and, they feel so exhausted. And I know persons who are listening too can say, I have been stressed. Could you briefly talk to someone listening who may be stressed right now? Like, give them a word? All
right. So first of all, I want to say that the key thing for every person is to know what causes stress for you. I call them stress triggers. Know what your triggers are. So for example, personally, when I am getting stressed, some persons respond to stress in a physical way. For some persons it's emotional or otherwise. For me, I have physical signs of being stressed. So I get tension in the shoulder, for example, or somewhere in the neck. And whenever I feel that area of my body becoming tense, I know that I'm getting stressed and I need to take a break from what I'm doing, and I need to walk around, just relax, breathe, and get myself together, kind of thing. And that would be more in line with work stress, because I do a lot of work around the computer and that kind of thing. But the point is, every person must know when they are in a stressful situation, must become sensitive to that, to know how to deal with it before it gets out of control, and to also deal with it in a healthy way. The second thing is to take care of yourself. So there are some things that you can do to reduce the unnecessary or the bad stress. So exercise regularly, eat well, and
sleep.
Get lots of rest, and ensure that you do what you can to be part of healthy relationships, healthy friendships, and so on. And as I said earlier, keep your sense of humor, and talk with family and friends and that kind of thing. So it is important to deal with the stress in that way. And I want to say that if someone is listening and you really have a stressful situation, or you may need help, it could be professional help. So I encourage such a person to talk to a pastor, talk to a trained counselor, find a trusted, mature friend who you can really just talk to about what you are going through, and get another perspective and so on. And I also want to say that, if you are a Christian, you should be praying, just talking to God, trusting in His word, and allowing Him by His Spirit to help you to work through these difficult situations, because He promised never to leave us nor forsake us, and we can trust in Him. And I'd also want to say to guard your heart. Now, maybe someone is listening and they are not a Christian, so they're not thinking about praying to God or anything like that. But I must say that more often than not, dealing with stress, it takes the assistance or the help from someone outside of us. And I also want to say that for any person who, if we do not have an authority outside of us that is higher than us, then we're setting up ourselves to self-destruct. So true. So I want to say that there is always a solution, and you do not have to stay where you are, because maybe you're so depressed that you're thinking, I should just end it now, suicide, or whatever the case might be. There is hope, and you can find a change in your situation if you'll trust God and reach out to someone else who is able to help you.
Okay, Reverend Tashi, this session has been a very reflective one for me. As you mentioned about outbursts can also be a sign that you're being stressed, and as I reflect, I say that I think that I need to take some time to sleep, deal with that stressing trigger. All right, thank you, Reverend Tashi, for this talk. It was very informative, thought-provoking, and enlightening. I feel more equipped to handle stress in a healthy way. You have just listened to Tashi's talks. To hear more from Reverend Tashi, go ahead and download the Podbean app. Then follow the Rev TC Views podcast. You may also subscribe to Reverend Tashi's YouTube channel. Go ahead and click subscribe, then hit the bell so you can never miss an episode. Every blessing!